I am Susan Gorman-Chang, the chair of the CRI, and welcome to CRI meeting number 30. It is entirely on Zoom now today, and it's from 5 to 7. We will start taking public testimony at 6 p.m. And with that, we'll do introductions. I've already introduced myself, so I'll pop it over to Chris.
Hi, my name is Chris Anton, CRI member representing affected families. Move
You
it
get to choose
over
the
to
next.
Bill.
You're muted, Bill.
I sounded better that way. My name is Bill South. I live on the windward side in Kaneohe, and I'm representing Sierra Club. And I will choose Melody.
Hey. Aloha, my name is Melody Aduha. I am co-chair emerita for the Environmental Caucus of the Democratic Party and also a former CRI member currently sitting in for Mia Lisa Otis, who represents Oahu as an Oahu resident. And let's see, let's do Jamie.
Aloha, my name is Jamie Simic. I am a former Hawaii resident and affected family member or CRI member representing affected family members. Sorry, it is late here on the mainland. I will go with Chris.
I did already do an introduction, so maybe who's down here? Aloha? Emiloa, sorry.
No worries. Aloha mai kako. I'm Emilio Borland. I'm representing Native Hawaiian interests here on the committee. I will pass it over to Michelle.
Aloha, I am Michelle Poplar, representing Oahu residents, also affected community, Kapalina Beach Homes, CRI member, and mahalo for being here, everyone.
All right, thank you. I'm going to welcome Susan Picola Davis. Hello. And go ahead, Malia.
Hi, aloha kako. I am Malia Marquez, representing Kanaka and Hawaii residents. All of us on Oahu deserve clean water and safe water for us and our future generations. So mahalo for having me. Aloha.
Mahalo. All right, and Mariko won't be joining us, but Marty Townsend may be substituting for her, but she's going to be a little late. So with that, we will get started. Our agenda. Next up on our agenda after introductions is new business. And so we just wanted to have a follow-up discussion on some of the answers received from the December 16th meeting and kind of like where we are as far as questions and answers. So the Navy is no longer responding in writing to our questions, but the EPA is responding and the Department of Health is responding. So 2 out of 3. So we've got something. Yeah, and part of the challenge with the Navy is they told us, that we can go to their open houses and their town halls and their neighborhood, some of the neighborhood boards and get our answers. And the frustration there has been that at the neighborhood boards, and they're only talking about a few of them. They call them the ones that are most affected by Red Hill, but that's everybody. But anyway, usually they send a spokesperson. They kind of have a script, and they can't really answer questions. So there's that dynamic of, okay, if we have a question, how do we get it answered? I did go to the town hall last night, And again, I'll just give you kind of an example. We have all been asking, please provide us evidence that all devices tested as part of the pilot study to reopen the Iaho lava shaft, that all the parts and devices are certified to NSF 61. And a group of us sent that question to the frequently asked questions website, which is where the Navy, directed us to send our questions in light of the fact that they're not communicating with CRI anymore. That was for the first quarter, January, February, March. It was posted beginning of April. That question and answer were not there. But to be fair, last night they said, well, we got your question like right at the end when we were putting together the FAQs. And so I asked, would it be on the next April, May, June? And then so July, frequently asked questions. And they said they would consider it. So again, I'm a little, frustrated that they get to determine what questions they will post on the frequently asked questions and which ones they'll answer. So we were still kind of struggling with that. Yeah, so we all know kind of that's the downside of not having a direct dialogue with the Navy. Yeah, does anybody else want to comment on that? Any experiences anybody's had with any of their neighborhood boards or open houses, the Navy open houses, or the water tables, I guess they're called, at Capelina Beach Homes? That was another list on their community outreach where you could get information. I don't know if I think Michelle has been to some of those, but she may be en route right now. So
Yes, they basically suggest to go to the very website that you mentioned and submit the questions there. Yes.
okay, well, there we have it.
They
Yeah.
did suggest that we could, as we have our Excel spreadsheet of our many, many questions, they did suggest that we could attach the spreadsheet and send our questions that way.
Attach the entire spreadsheet and send it to the frequently asked questions, the Navy Closure Task Force email they've given us. We could try that.
Mhm.
Sure. Okay, and so the people just at the water table, do you know what what is their knowledge base?
Well, they're the people who have been there since the beginning of the Navy Closure Task Force, and they are very friendly and try to be helpful. I had some suggestions as far as, reporting the booths when the booths are happening, that perhaps maybe they should post their when they are at places, that perhaps that should be on the Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam social media channels. But instead, what they do is it's on the website and there are PDF flyers available. So I suggested that they perhaps create something that was more shareable, because you cannot share PDFs onto social media so easily.
Right. It's a good suggestion. Yeah. And so is their emphasis the water testing and what they've been doing? Is that it?
Yes, their
Okay.
emphasis is what the water testing and what they're doing,
Okay. And
and
do they
how
give
to
like
get testing,
I'm sorry?
and how to go on their website and get the testing, and also the app. They have an app.
Oh, they have an app. Tell me about the app, please.
They mentioned the app. There was no QR code for me to get the app, so I was like, okay, well, where's this app? And so yes, there's supposedly an app.
Is the app for, oh, I see a sheen on my water, or I taste something or smell something, or
I had suggested that I invited them to come to one of our meetings and demonstrate how to use this app.
okay. But I'm sure the people that were there don't have the authority to say yes or no, but I like
Mhm.
that idea.
Yeah.
maybe we can follow up with who I don't know, but I like that idea, because we should be getting word out that there's still testing possible if you feel there's something wrong with your water, or you smell, or you taste, or you see the sheen. So okay, but they can't answer my
Right, yeah.
question, my annoying
The
question.
other illuminating thing about all the other Navy properties, except for Capelina Beach Homes, have their materials of the Navy Closure Task Force in the leases as available, flyers. So here's the Navy Closure Task Force information, except for Capelina Beach Homes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, because they're a private company, not associated with the Navy.
Wow, that's really
But
frustrating.
all
At the
the other
Navy,
properties are complying with that.
yeah, but they are yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
frustrating.
I did want to pop in and add, that's one of my unanswered questions from December 16th meeting. So they are the water provider and power provider. So Capelina Beach Homes is a landlord and not a utility company. So they do not have legal authority to be the ones to tell you what to do with your water and power. You can notify them you're having issues and do a repair ticket through it, but if there's anything wrong with your water or power, the notifications like that have to come from that utility company, which the Navy is, the purveyor there. So my question was the legality that they say there's nothing they can do because Capelina is private. And that makes no sense. Everybody has a right to know who their power and water is coming from and how to contact them if they have problems. I mean,
Yeah.
it should be in the lease, but they don't tell tenants they're even on military anything. Just
Yeah, I remember.
FYI, it's one of my unanswered questions.
Yeah, no, yeah, because they gave us kind of a non-answer. You're right. It's like there's nothing we can do. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So next, if we're done kind of discussing kind of like where we are with the Navy, this next
Oh.
one is, go ahead.
I'm sorry, can we add that we do have the thing pending with the state on encouraging them to attend? They had passed that bill. Are we going to cover that later? But
Yes. Yeah, but go
that
ahead.
is something that I really do have hope that they have to come back to the table because this is the proper forum for the Navy to help get those questions and answers to public.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to cover that in the Red Hill Vi bills. But yeah, you're right. That did pass. And yeah, we're happy for that. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, that was a positive. That's a positive. Thank you for reminding us of that. So the second thing is the DOH reopening of IAEA Halava Shaft. It seems I went to the Navy open house last night. And the DOH wasn't there, but the EPA was there and the Navy. And from the EPA drinking water expert, I believe she was, they seem to be pushing it out into the future. It's probably not going to be the end of this month, or probably not even next month. So to me, it sounds like, I mean, maybe I'm cautiously hopeful that the DOH is doing their job in that, if they just gave them a pass, it would be open already, right? So I'm hoping that they're actually asking them to do things. And that is why perhaps it's being delayed. Again, my question was, are there devices that are on the IAEA Halava Shaft, the GAC and all the devices, are they NSF 61 certified, which is the highest certification for drinking water? I asked Commander Dunn that last night and he said yes. And I said, could we see the certificate? Because they're certified, there is a certificate. And he said he would send it to the regulators, meaning the EPA and the DOH. so I went and talked to the EPA, and the EPA said, no, that's really the DOH, their primary. Yet the DOH's answer in writing was, and I'm reading from their answer from the DOH recommends that the public contact the Navy directly to request the specific third-party verification documents cited in the technical memorandum. So we just seem to be going in a circle, but I'm hopeful we'll just keep working with the DOH. And I think there probably has to be a final report that comes out before, citing that the Navy has complied to all the DOH recommendations. So I'm hoping it will be in there, but we'll see. So yeah, this is just kind of our ongoing frustration with not being able to meet with the Navy. I don't know if anyone else was able to go to the open house last night. I wasn't there the whole time. Yeah. Oh, Tara was there. Yeah. At her table for the Red Hill Registry. Yes. Thank you, Tara. Let's see. So I guess we're down to if anybody wants to talk about this week, we had lots of stuff dropping. We had the EPA webinar about their final report on the VI. Anybody want to discuss that? Any feelings, thoughts on that?
Sorry for the late joining. I got a new phone and a bunch of other reasons. But anyways, the EPA seemed to give us a lot of data, just the same same O. No run around the facts. The testing they want to do. They want to be using a different form of testing in the tanks, not the tanks, but from the water sources in the lines. And that testing is, I was all for it. I said, to use one type of sampling to see if it responds to the others is a really great way to, take a look and see if we're dealing with contamination still or toxins in there. So other than that, they were bringing up a lot of data saying that everything's safe. But the thing is what they didn't bring up is the fact of the continued monitoring of all those wells over a period of time, and monitoring of the clean water, the pipes, and going back and testing them again. There was nothing brought up about that. And, it shouldn't be just a one-time thing, in my opinion. They should be going back in and looking at everything, But most of it was just, I felt like the guy that was giving all the data was just reading off a teleprompter, and there was nothing. Yeah, it was a teleprompter. It was like a machine, like AI machine, just reading off this stuff, spewel of stuff and data. And it's like, I didn't really get the crux of what they were really trying to say here. Like, what I felt is like they were saying it was all done and they've done their job, and I don't feel that at all. I don't feel that at all. They need to continue monitoring all those clean water lines and the water holding tanks that come down, before the shaft, from the source. And those are all rusted out at the bottom and all old tanks. And they said that they were going to replace them or repair them. And that other word was kind of like confusing to me. Repair them. I thought they were going to replace everything.
I thought so too, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I like the idea of the testing, but they weren't really too definitive about anything else, about giving us clear timelines on going back in and making sure again that those pipes, all those new pipes that, since the release, that they retest it. And, after the new pipes are in, and all the old pipes and retest them again just to make sure.
Yeah.
You know, we have kids that are sick still, you know, so, and
Yeah.
adults too, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for that. I
Yeah.
did, Chris, real quick before I get to you. I did see 4 statements in there, and I've said this a few times to some of you about the swarm tech memo. So the swarm tech memo came out from the Navy, a consultant called Chris Walton, who came out with this tech memo and this reason for why they had these false positives on TPH. Their tech memo from the Navy stated, I'll just do like one quote, a chemical in the regulatory test method was found to interact with the chlorine present in the drinking water samples, producing increased TPH readings in the sample results. And as you recall, Navy used this tech memo, in my opinion, to kind of gaslight us into believing the TPH had not really been found in the water. That was like a false positive. But within this report, scattered through these pages, were really 4 strong statements from the EPA, which I really appreciated. The first one is EPA did not provide input or comment on this tech memo report prior to publication. The Navy kind of insinuated that they approved because they said they were at the table. They were part of the swarm meeting, but clearly they did not provide input or comment. The second strong quote I found on page 56 was EPA considered several of the Navy's conclusions presented in the tech memo inadequately supported. That is another really strong statement. Third one, EPA tried to recreate the swarm team tech memo hypothesis regarding the chemical reacting with chlorine in the samples and could not do so. But the question remained as to what extent could chlorine cause ghost peaks or increase the calculated concentration of TPHD. That's also a strong statement. And the last one, overall, EPA has not reached a conclusion on the reason for the upward trends in the TPH detection frequency and TPH concentration observed during periods 6 and 7 of the long-term monitoring that spurred formation of the Navy's swarm team. So whether you think that's too little, too late, I kind of wish this had come out earlier because the Navy got their, in my opinion, the Navy got their narrative out there. And
okay.
Can you mute yourself?
There's a little thing here.
Can you mute yourself, Robert? Yeah, so the Navy got their narrative out there, and this is kind of buried in the report. But I give them credit for at least coming out and saying that, right? Does anybody kind of remember that swarm memo, that swarm tech memo? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then the second thing, in addition to the EPA coming out, as you recall, the Board of Water Supply hired, and I looked it up, Winkler Analytical Consultants, and there's Paul Winkler and a couple other women. I don't see their names on here, but anyway, they presented with him, and they did not agree with the conclusions of the tech memo, the swarm tech memo. So yeah, it's just interesting. But in the EPA's report, they also did say, and I want to give them credit for this. The EPA was the one they insisted that they do the extended drinking water program and keep it going one more year. And there was more detail on that. There was, they go to tier 2, but there were a lot of contradictions in there and explanations and almost like trying to make us all feel it's okay and the water's clean. So that's my take on it. And I'm going to go to Chris.
Thank you, Susan. Yeah, I just kind of want to add that they know over those long-term testings that there was errors. There was errors either in collecting, flushing too long before collecting, how they kept the bottles before testing, retesting after something's been at the lab for way too long. And just the ways that they were doing this is all well documented that they'd kind of bungled their 2-year long-term testing. So knowing that, having knowledge, having record of it, I'm a little surprised that the EPA, and if it's not the EPA and the EPA has given their authority to the Department of Health Hawaii, that they should be requesting more testing then, proper testing, so that anybody who turns on their tap, I mean, the whole point is that we all have somewhere to look for our tests and be more assured, and it not be these old tests we all know had problems. I would like newer tests and consistently be able to look up an address to even know you're on the Navy water line. So I think they're behind in a lot of things they could have corrected by now, which is how to look up your address. They don't have a way for people to even know if they're in a business on the water line. A way to look up the test, request the tests, so that you can still request a test. That's great, but I don't think it's well knowledgeable on how for the general public to even know where to go to say, hey, I don't know, my wife smelt this, or my kid's getting rashes after the bath. Can you come test, And is it just a reaction of not replacing that hot water heater and it pulled too much up that day for everything else running in their house? And we all know that they have pockets that get dislodged in the pipes, and just once in a while that will give you and your own household a more exposure day than another day where you didn't have it. So I think they're kind of know that they have a lot of pipe cleaning and replacements to do, and there's just a lot more remediation that's not talked about. So the ask is that we get more testing, and the testing be TPH, and that it be properly handled and more quickly accessible on the results. So they get the results well within 2 weeks, and they should be available online. So I believe it's like 3 days, 3 to 5 days on a lot of these, and they wait until they put it in their own Excel format, which they really should just release the tests data somewhere for people. That would be my ask.
So are we talking home testing, right? Like is there still a number
And
to call?
business.
And business.
Yes. Well, they mentioned it in the December meeting.
Yeah.
That, it was right in the corner of this note here. So, moment. Navy Water Quality Action Team is phone number 808-210-6968. And
Okay.
that's what they had mentioned.
Yeah. And I honestly, I don't know what testing protocol they're going to follow. Are they going to follow the protocol of the extended drinking monitoring program, or if they find a TPH and they do that tier 2 and try to break it down into components? That's not clear to me.
Yeah, the type of testing is not clear.
Yeah. And the type of
being
testing.
I was going to say format, but consistent. That it be some kind of consistent list of contaminant tests.
Right. And then where is it posted? Or is it just, it sounds like they're just going to get back to that family.
Right. And that's not it. The neighbors all need to know if I'm going to a restaurant or going to the mall, I want to know,
Right.
if I'm having to utilize any of those businesses that are on the line. If you're at a school event with your children and you want to know if that school is clear, how do you find all your testing? So, and the once a year is not enough because this has been a contamination. There's been an environmental disaster in this location. So I believe it warrants something different than your normal annual water company thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I asked that at the webinar that the EPA gave, and somebody answered me from the EPA. It's going to be twice a year starting in 2028 or something like that. But still, that's not the detail that we want, right? We want a lot
Right.
more detail, a lot more
I
information.
I do believe it all just warrants another 2-year monitoring plan.
Yeah.
That's preferable, so we have another 2-year set of data, but that it's handled completely different. Either it's Department of Health only, with Department of Health having it on their website, rather than it just be the Navy's control again. There's just got
Right.
to be a different route we can take. And that's where the state should really step in to protect our public health.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another on that kind of same topic, another one of the questions we asked Hawaii Department of Health, and this was also in the reactivation report. There was Appendix E, and it was a list of health contaminants to be tested prior to reactivating sources of drinking water. And I noticed it didn't include TPH. And that's because it's just a standard generic test. This is from the DOH. The DOH Safe Drinking Water Branch uses for reactivation of any drinking water source by the state of Hawaii. They treat every well the same. Um, and then it also, there's a little asterisk on the bottom, and it said, the Safe Drinking Water Branch of the DOH reserves the right to require additional testing for specific contaminants due to potential contaminating activities near the source or due to past history of contamination of the source or nearby sources. So I asked, why haven't they added TPH to it? And the DOH response was, in 2024, the DOH conducted an independent investigation using advanced forensic techniques and confirmed that no petroleum fuel contaminants or metabolites were detected at the Navy Alava Haia shaft. These forensic tests are more precise than standard laboratory methods and proved that source water remains unaffected by the red hill fuel release. Yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, so hmm. So we can continue to ask, which we probably should. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anyone else want to chime in on DOH or the EPA report? Any of our asks? So at this point, we would like to ask for more testing, like another 2 years of monitoring. But short of that, I guess another ask could be more information on when someone calls this 808 number, you know, what methods are they using? How do they get the answers back to the people? And then how do they get the answers? How would they post the answers, right? So at least we have a little information because they still have that set up. We just want to know, a little more information on where it's posted. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I wanted to
And
add that that's my other ask, and I think we've done that for the last few years with CRI, that there's no
mhm.
good notification system. So the ask is a proper notification system and it not be, I don't know, a Facebook post and
Yeah,
then maybe
yeah.
local
The
media post,
people
and
were
then
the
other people try to find out. But you have multi-generations living in households that do not have the utility bill in their name. They don't get the email and they don't get the notices, or they're not the phone call. And you have children and they're two or teenagers that would never get any of this notices. So why is it not on sandwich boards and some kind of app? You know, just I don't believe they've set themselves up the way they should because they're providing water to the public and families
right,
and schools and businesses. So because they have that role and they haven't shut off their pipes and just, if it's not on base, move all of that to board of water supply, and do some major project of relinquishing those any public area outside of the base, they really do need to update their communication in a normal utility fashion.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
my other ask.
Yep. Oh, go ahead, Melody.
Yeah, I think what we need to do is mobilize the neighborhood boards, just like what we did a couple of years ago with regards to a resolution to shut down Red Hill. We probably need to get a resolution asking for test results of the Air Halava shaft and any other information, because that seems to be our only outlet, widespread
Yeah.
outlet, other than the open houses. And now with the FTAC only twice a year, and we just had an FTAC, we're not going to get any new information for a while. So
Right.
I think what we need to do, mobilize, contact the chairs of the neighborhood boards, give them a list of questions that should be asked of the military, because I believe the military has to show up on each neighborhood board, or whenever they are on the agenda, and then someone should work on a resolution and get that going. But we have no choice, and this is exactly what the Navy wants, is not having the dialogue with us and not having very long periods of time. Because when Navy makes a presentation, I think, what do they get, 5 minutes maybe to give their presentation? And doesn't give the community much time to ask questions. So yeah, I think that's what we need to do, is contact all of the chairs, get a resolution going, get a list of questions going, and put the Navy on notice that we're going to get our information one way or another.
That is a good idea. I like that. I do know, because I went and looked at a lot of the and we right, we were successful in getting a reso from all the neighborhood boards over a series of years about shutting down Red Hill, and some of them wrote their own, but I mean, you're right, we did get that. Not every neighborhood board has the Army or the Navy on their agenda, believe it or not. But they all signed that reso. You know what I mean? They all came up and signed a reso. So I still think we can probably do that. We just need to educate the boards a little bit. So I can kind of work on that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. Okay. So,
Sorry,
okay.
more work for you.
Yeah, that's all right.
But you're good
So,
at this. You like to do this kind of stuff.
I do.
You're on the neighborhood board.
I am.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we had our last two meetings. So
Uh-oh.
did a lot of them on the west side, canceled because of the weather. So, but that's all right. We'll catch up. And Susan, I'm going to hold your comment about House Resolution 141 till we get down to the Red Hill buy bills. And then Tara is saying, in regards to wanting some confidence in whether water at a particular address is Board of Water Supply or otherwise, currently anyone can search the Board of Water Supply CCR, Consumer Confidence Report. Thank you for that link. Was it Joyce that did that for one of our meetings, maybe a couple of meetings ago? She did it for us live. Well, she was on Zoom and some of us were live, but yeah, that is a really good idea, because you're right. And she also said if you don't have a consumer confidence report, you can also contact the Board of Water Supply and they can do a little more research and let you know kind of one way or the other. So yeah, that is the backdoor way of figuring out whether you're on the Navy water line, because the Navy's not doing anything proactive to let anybody know. When we brought that up at the December 16th meeting, they said, well, if you get this water quality report, you're on the Navy water line. And if you don't, then you're not. And how many people in Capilina Beach homes get the Navy quality water report? Right? Yeah. So
It was never given to me while I lived there or noticed.
no.
Maybe we should do a survey and submit it to them of how many housing areas actually get the Navy water report.
Oh, of course, they could always say, well, we gave it to Capilina Beach Homes. We can't help if they don't circulate it, which goes back to that legal question of what kind of, don't they have a responsibility as a public water provider? That's almost like a legal question that a lawyer's
That's a
going to
fabulous idea. That is a killer
Which
idea.
I
one?
would even
Sorry.
love to survey.
The letter, sending a letter out asking how many people are served in their communities. How many people are on their water line. I bet you they don't even know.
Yeah, are you saying asking the
Because
Navy or sending out a survey like to Capilina Beach Homes?
No, asking the Navy because they're subcontracted out with all the Capilina Beach Homes communities, that group of, I forget the name of it, that governs all that and all the others, and they probably don't even know themselves, but they should have an idea of how many homes, they're responsible for that, whether they have
Have a number
subcontracted out or
on
not.
the homes because like the number 93,000, saying that 93,000 people were impacted, that number comes from the Navy and their understanding of their own water line based on numbers of homes and people working in different buildings and whatnot. So we've at the registry asked for like more detailed information on how they came to that number, but we've only received that that's the general way that they came to that number. But because everybody says 93,000 and
But that's affected homes, but how many homes
no,
do they serve?
that's on the water line.
On the
Yeah.
water line.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
But they couldn't, they wouldn't give you a list of Capilina Beach Homes and you know
Well,
what I mean? And this
So you
restaurant
have
and
them
that
drop
restaurant.
them here.
No, there is back
walk
during the
across
water
here,
crisis, back during the
Uh-huh.
water
all the way
crisis,
across that lawn, straight down.
Okay, wait, Robert,
Straight-
can you mute yourself, please? Thank you.
back during the water crisis when they were flushing all of the areas, the flushing zone map looked a little bit different and there was like this green grid. But if you give me a few minutes, I'll find it and I'll put that link in there and it shows exactly how many homes are like in each one of the flushing zones. I'll provide that link. And
Thank
then
you.
you're welcome. And then I did like a simple Google search. I have never looked on this website, so I don't know how comparable it is to the Board of Water Supply CCRs. But I did put in the chat a link that I found for the Navy's water quality and their consumer confidence reports. These look historic. I don't know where to find current, but I'll keep noodling around while we talk about other things and I'll share. And then the last, when I raised my hand, why I was raising my hand is because at the registry, we are putting together tons of different types of educational materials, based on what the community is asking for and what we're capable of providing. And one thing that people have wanted to know is how do we even read these the consumer confidence reports because they are pretty technical and confusing and lots of acronyms and lots of numbers. And so at the registry, we are working on putting together kind of like an instructional video on how to find and read these. And since I haven't filmed it yet, I didn't get to hear the lecture. So this is as far as I've gotten on the Navy one, but I'm more to come. And at the registry, we always keep the CRI apprised as to where we're at with things. So I'll mute. Sorry.
Thank you. No, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you're doing that. Thank you. That's terrific. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, well, thank you, Tara, for all that you're doing with that, and as an affected family. So I really appreciate your close link with it and understanding. So that's actually really great. This is the link to their annual reports. This is the right location, and that is their most recent. They don't have, it says 2025. You can click on Joint Base, yeah. So, but I did ask ever since the beginning about the 93,000 and they've never answered, and they didn't even answer, I believe, our attorneys during the lawsuit. So it's an estimated number, I believe, on the House list, like you say, and then an average amount of people that may live in that type of 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom because they don't have full understand. It also does not include businesses. If you notice, the Flushing thing is only homes.
Oh,
It didn't really say everything on the list because I don't think they wanted to list all of their buildings or stuff. You know what I mean? And how and employees that work in a school, and all of those things, or work at the child or daycare centers and things like that. So you really don't have a good, I've never gotten a good figure as to how many were affected. And then the lawsuits only make you show your lease, which means you have to have lived on the line, but it doesn't mean you may not have been affected every day by going to work as a teacher or anything
yeah,
else, or working at the mall at the Dairy Queen. I mean, at the next mall. I mean, like, all, I don't know, just it doesn't have a really good encompassing understanding of how many people really were affected.
yeah. If they never, like, I'm thinking of um, the Joint Base, I'm sorry, the Pearl Harbor Visitor Center with all those little restaurants and
Yeah, yeah.
so that was never flushed.
No,
Ooh,
I don't think any of this is all
wow,
properly done the way
wow.
it should be. But yes, I really want to echo Melody in mobilizing. I do believe that is where we will find our actionable change. And I love that. I love the idea, because we really need to demand, well, just like we demanded the shutdown. She's
Yep.
absolutely right. We need to demand the shafts be tested, and not just for chlorine or your standard annual water reports
Yeah.
that don't
Yeah.
include contaminant,
Right.
that are
Right.
not contaminants of the list of any EPA list, because TPH is not on anybody's,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, they
So
meet the Safe Drinking Waters law because jet fuel
yeah,
is not included in there because it shouldn't be in the water. And again, I kind of have issue with the Department of Health statement that we're not testing these things in the well because there's no, TPH. And clearly, under the first long-term monitoring, there was TPH, even though the swarm memo tried to uh, say they were ghost peaks. But Board of Water Supply and EPA disagree with that. So there were TPH findings, right? So we have some contradictory things in there. So yeah. Okay. I like the neighborhood board idea.
There's also PFAS findings,
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes.
which they're not addressing.
Yeah, because that's
no,
supposedly
they're
being addressed under the RAB, right? They like carved that out and that's supposed to be under the, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I think they are going to test PFAS is the only thing we're going to get data on. I believe, because they keep tiptoeing on all their presentations around that and saying it's a nationwide problem. I don't know if you've kind of heard their wording, when they're talking
I
about
think that's,
PFAS as the
I
only
think they're
contaminant
required
found.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's all we're going to get anything out of in testing
PFAS.
results, possibly. Um, but also in the mobilizing, I wanted to add that maybe the CRI can come out with a statement, and we can organize something as a CRI group that we asked to be on an agenda at neighborhood boards, and here's what we are talking about. And we're really knowledgeable about the history of long-term monitoring, and can be a good Q&A for the board, any of the
Mhm.
neighborhood boards. Just, I don't know, a plan of action meeting would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. A lot of like strategy thinking, strategy.
Yeah.
And yeah. Yeah. Really coming. Yeah. Because it's like there's, the first issue is we really, yeah, the 93,000 homes. And okay. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. That'll going to be some good strategy sessions.
Plus, the
Okay.
neighborhood boards also, right? Neighborhood boards are also shown on Olelo, albeit
Yes.
delayed,
Yes.
but
Yes.
it is another way to get the word out.
Absolutely. Oh, go ahead, Tara.
I just put in the chat, I found the old Flushing Zone thing, and it shows number of homes for every zone and estimated resident return to home. So like when each zone was cleared by date. that page is archived, so it's really hard to find. The way I usually find it is by doing like a Google image search, and then I find things and noodle around, and then it always takes a minute because it's archived, but it's there and it's in the chat, so people can see that. And then when we, as the registry, asked about the origination of the number, the response that we got was, that it was a conservative estimate of the potential total number of personnel who might use the base water system on a given weekday, given the regular fluctuations of personnel who access the base. They tried to identify the largest potential population of water system users, and they considered Navy tenants, Navy tenant commands, non-Navy tenants, military family housing, barracks, ships, submarines, squadrons, recreational and family support facilities, and commercial entities served by the water system. So
In schools, did I hear schools?
I didn't hear schools.
Yeah.
They did say family support facilities, so I don't know,
Yeah.
but not specifically, they didn't say
Yeah.
schools, but there are several schools on the.
Oh, yeah. In Catalina Beach Homes, there's Iroquois Elementary School.
Well, I mean,
Yep.
even on
And
base
on base.
itself,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's when I
Isn't
lived
there
on base,
11, I believe 11 schools on the system? Yeah, something like that.
yeah, and that's not including like the private school, the charters, that's DOE.
Yeah.
Well, I should take that back. I can't support that with evidence off the top of my head. So let's not say that I said that.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So we could move on to announcements and then some discussion on recaps. So the Walk for Vi was rescheduled again, June 20th. There was just too many Earth Day kind of events going on, and we thought we want the maximum amount of people possible. And a lot of people that would do Earth Day events would also do the Walk for Vi. So we are now June 20th. We're pretty solid on that date. Malia is working on getting the bandstand at Capilina Park. So that would be totally awesome. Then we wouldn't have to set up a stage or anything, and it would just be much more visible. So more to come on that, but I'm really excited on that. And NASM is still coming out April 25th. I don't know if Jamie, if you have any more information about time, place, or Tara.
I have not received any more information. Let me double check my email. It's been a very busy week. Tara may have heard something.
No, but
as well.
I'll make sure that Liz know, like I can initiate a conversation just by letting her know that the Walk for Vi is canceled, because
So that gives them a
they were really trying to
flexibility.
work around that. So
yeah, we could to let her know. Yeah. And it is 6 p.m. We still have some more things to cover, but I'd like to open it up for community comments, and then we could circle back if anyone wants to make a community comment or not.
Whenever I go to the neighborhood board meetings, I speak during community comments on behalf of the registry. So I don't know if that would be the most appropriate time for me to give registry updates now, or is that something that you would prefer I do later in the meeting?
Probably later. I'm just checking to see if someone from the community wants to give, like Susan Picola Davis, do you want to give any community comments, testimony, anything like that? She's the only person I see on my screen, but that doesn't mean she's, yeah. No? All right, then we'll just go on. Okay. So FTech recap. Okay, April 9th. That was in and out because I had to take my husband to a medical appointment. Anybody comment? Anybody watch it? Any comments? Any takeaways? How did you think it went? I know Michael Montoya was the facilitator. Yay. He's a trauma-informed facilitator.
just briefly, I didn't learn anything new there.
Yeah, the plume, I have to, the recording isn't posted, and I know there was a plume presentation, but part of that I was waiting for my husband on my tiny cell phone, so I really didn't get to see. But the plume, someone correct me if I'm wrong. The plume presentation was from Department of Health. Yeah, and it was only through 2020. It wasn't real current. It certainly wasn't after the Kona rains, right? Which is what we want because Matt Cohen told us December 16th that when there's a lot of rain that the plume moves. So,
Yeah, I believe it was 2024.
okay.
Yeah. And you're right. We should have more current data on that.
Yeah. And I don't know if the one Matt Cohen showed in December was from DOH data or from Navy data or from their own data. I'm not clear on where he got his. So, yeah.
Yeah, especially
Um,
after my conversation with him at that one meeting, I was rather disappointed to see we're in 2026 and there is no update on that. We've gone through 2 winters, 2 rainy seasons, and especially given everything with the Kona lows, that we
yeah,
know the contamination would be moving. So I was really hopeful that there would be more updated information, but then really disappointed that they chose to go with information that's already been regurgitated
yeah,
or
yeah.
regurgitating old information.
So we need to push for an updated plume
Rooms.
map. Yeah. Yeah, to include Kona lows because that's a biggie. Yeah.
It's-
Oh, go ahead.
no, I was going to say it's huge, especially with all the flooding
Yeah.
that we've had. So, or that you guys have had. I say we because I miss Hawaii so much.
Oh,
It's home.
yeah. And yeah,
Yeah, I believe more people need to be looking at that. When the movement and the rains happen, then you have more sicknesses, more rashes, more things moving in the pipes, just in your groundwater and in everything else around you. Just all contaminants are uplifted and moved, and new people exposed or people that felt better are now feeling sick again. It's really important that that be well monitored before they just go forward with opening things up. I don't know.
right.
Seems like they would put more money into new wells than old ones.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you
I
think that
mean, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to say, do you think that there's room for us to call with advocacy, or to advocate, calling for them to actually put out advisories or warnings when we have the big rains or
Um,
things to watch out for? Just as a, would that be their responsibility or the DOH, or the
oh,
EPA, since it's known and Matt Cohen's on the record of stating this, is that something that we can call for them to put out a public advisory when there is the heavy raining or flooding and
right.
during the
Just
winter months? Just
where
say,
is the
hey,
public
heads
advisory?
up, pay attention to this. If you notice any abnormal symptoms or these symptoms, please ensure that you get checked or
Call this
treated.
number, get
Right.
tested, right? That is a
Go to
good idea
your
because
PCM, go to your primary care and take care of yourself. I mean, I I have it on my hand. I don't know if you can see it right now, but I live with the rashes and, I touch any chemicals that I was pre-exposed to and it causes the rashes to come back. I have them on my wrist. I'm wearing long sleeves because I have them on my wrist as well right now and my arms. So, yeah, it's something that they should call for and
yeah,
put a public advisory since it's known and they've talked about it publicly.
Yeah, and we could even,
That's our job, especially the E
yeah.
EPA.
Do you want to make maybe to do a draft of that, Jamie? About,
Yes, it's
yes,
crazy busy right now.
yeah,
Remind me, I'm writing it down, but
yes.
remind me.
Like
I've been,
just a brief case for why there should be a public advisory, because they have the brown water alert about people swimming in the ocean and sewage and whatnot.
correct.
Why shouldn't they have that? Because, yeah, we have Matt Cohen on the record saying saying that the plume moves, and yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay, thanks,
And
Jamie.
that would also help them pinpoint possibly where the plume is moving if people are notifying that this is going on, and it would be assistance to them.
Yes, yes.
I would add, I don't think Navy's going to do it if there's no law forcing them to, but DOH, I believe it would fall
DOH.
under.
Yeah, DOH is our target, not the Navy.
DOH,
No,
yeah, I
DOH.
know. DOH, EPA, those are our targets, absolutely.
Now, DOH did not come clean when it came to the Wahiwa dam, because that wasn't result also of the overflow of the Wahiwa treatment, right? Wastewater treatment
Yep.
facility. If that
Mhm.
didn't overflow, which city and county was aware, then it probably would not have overflowed into the dam, into Lake Wilson, and into Wailua and Haleiwa.
Oh my
But it
gosh.
took days before DOH even said that it was the Wahiwa wastewater treatment that spilled over, and E. coli and salmonella and everything else. And everybody's wading through that water trying to rescue
Ugh.
everyone. So yeah, that's not
Yeah.
good. Not
All
good.
we can do is ask, and I think we have, a really good case. Doesn't mean you're right. Doesn't mean DOH will do it, but we got to try.
Hey, and we bought it, right? The state bought that dam
Yeah.
from
Yeah, it's
Dole.
ours now.
That's like the stupidest thing we could have done.
I know. Now we're on the hook.
When did that happen? Was that today?
Well, I guess Civil Beat covered it yesterday.
They finalized it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're too late. This is Dela Cruz's baby for some reason. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead, Robert.
Oh, hi. Yeah, Dela Cruz. That whole thing, what a joke. And listen, have you ever known City and County of Honolulu and the state to both be so cohesive about putting something together so quickly and saying, "Oh, we'll house all 230 of you." They know that they were liable, first of all, on that spillage. And, that whole dam thing, I think he thought it was going to go away if they bought it or whatever. But, it's just that thing's going to cost $1 billion.
Oh, yeah. Easy. Yep.
To freaking they're going to have to rebuild it.
Yeah.
You wonder what Dela Cruz is going to get out of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. I was shocked it didn't require some monies from Dole
to
pass that bad
right?
asset on.
He's dead. He's dead, and the company is dissolved from Hawaii a long time ago. And I brought it up a long time ago to our legislature about the PVC that was tilled into the soil in the pineapple fields here, because all of our fields on the North Shore are completely toxic.
Yeah.
All toxic because of Dole, Murdoch. Okay, Murdoch. And, and he could have cared less. He could have easily planted coffee over in Lanai to help the Filipino farmers, but he just left them high and dry. That guy had it in for only one thing, and that was himself. And he sold the company, and then he died. And, what a legacy, right? Yeah. So the whole thing is, I think with the state, that, with this whole thing with the city and this buying this dam, I mean, they're going to be saying "damn" all right.
Yeah.
Dang.
Okay,
More like
thank you. So we're on to Red Hill Registry, Tara. I'm sorry, you might have stepped away.
I'm here, but I just took a bite.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to come back to you?
Yeah, give me like
Yeah, yeah.
2.
Okay. Maybe we can go on to Viola Alliance versus Navy trial, if there's any update on that, Melody. Any update on that?
Okay. Well, the only update was from the trial, right? I expected, and I don't know if I already mentioned this. I had expected closing arguments, but they don't do that procedurally in a federal court. So instead, both sides have to file their opening post-trial uh briefs. Okay, opening post-trial briefs. So both sides, our side 45-page maximum, Navy has 45-page maximum, and then we get to reply with 15 pages. And that's due probably at the end of this month. But we figure that um Judge Kobayashi will probably give us an opinion within 1 or 2 months after that. And then we're looking at the RCRA claim because we had 2 claims. The RCRA claim was stayed pending the defueling. And so now we are able to open that claim again in June. So then we're going to continue on. And this one is different because with the Clean Water Act, then we were looking at the reasonable likelihood of a leak happening again in the near future. And so we were looking at leaks into Pearl Harbor as well as Halava Stream. But when we're dealing with the RCRA claim, then we've got all new evidence again because the the dispute is with the groundwater. So much more important with the groundwater, including the aquifer. And so we do have, our attorneys did receive a thumb drive, which they didn't tell me how, what's in it, but we do know that it has some modeling in it. So we don't know to what extent and how recent the modeling is, but that is the discovery that we have received. So I should talk to my attorneys and find out what they've got. What's the juice in that thumb drive?
Wow. So like groundwater modeling?
Yeah, yes,
Oh,
yes. So
okay.
definitely would be on the plume.
Yeah. Oh, great. Okay.
Oh, I
Cool.
had a question. So it was a two-parter, right? You did
Yeah.
one recent, and then the second part is the groundwater. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Clean Water Act came first. And because Judge Kobayashi stayed the RCRA, I guess I should RCRA Resource Conservation Recovery Act. It's something like that. That's
Which is
probably
the
not all of it.
military's, it's under the military. That's their law, RCRA, right? Under
Yeah,
military. Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
Wow.
I should
Good. Well, thank
look it
you.
up.
I'm so glad y'all doing that. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah, I mean, we filed in 22.
Wow.
4 years
Wow.
later, we're finally going to be able to litigate it.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a
Oh, go
long
ahead,
time.
Jamie. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to go back just a second, because I was re-looking at what Tara posted and noticed that Manana is not on there. Isn't Manana on the water line or the Navy's water lines? Wasn't that admitted to and that they were affected? Or are they just saying, because remember we advocated for that
Yeah.
and they wound up getting water?
Yeah, I do remember
I
that.
can't. Yeah,
Uh,
so aren't they supposed to be on there as well?
so this is an archived page, so I don't know when they archived
Okay.
it or whatever. It could have just been before they were acknowledging. I remember all of that back and forth about Manana, and what I remember is that there was some sort of description about them being on the water line, but then they were moved to BWS for a while, and they didn't come back onto the Navy water line until after things were settled, which I don't know if it was like after the line was clean or, I don't remember that timing, but I do remember how convoluted and curious the conversations around Manana were. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because that brings me back to wanting to survey families to see who is getting notified of this and who is actually on the water line. And, because Manana is part of the retired housing. When I lived there, we lived in the housing that they've now torn down. When I went back in 2022, my home was demolished, no longer there. That the kids were born in. So it's just Manana's always stuck out to me, sort of like Catalina, where they try to just push it to the side. So
Yeah, and then how do you even go from Navy water to Board of Water Supply water? Like, can they do that?
Yeah, the parts of the system are interconnected, and it's kind of like it goes here or it goes there. I don't understand the hydrology or the engineering of it
Wow.
all. Those are probably better questions for someone like Ernie or
Yeah.
Shannon or somebody who understands more of the.
I think Joyce answered that question at one time, one of our meetings, that they do have control of a valve in case the Navy doesn't have enough water coming out of its Waiava shaft, then Board of Water Supply can open that valve. Because that's kind of my issue. I would rather Board of Water Supply open that valve to help the Navy rather than the Navy opening up the Aiea Halava shaft prematurely.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
thank you for sharing that, Chris. In March of 2022, they declared Manana safe, but were they flushed?
I know.
I don't think they were, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
Sorry, stuck out to me when we were talking.
Yeah, no, I kind of remember that too. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Robert. Did you have is your hand raised new? Or it's just still up?
Were you talking to me?
Yes. Is your
Oh,
hand
hi.
raised up from
Yes,
before?
yeah, it is. I have a question on the Manana, and all these other sites. There's all these water holding tanks, on the line. They're not giant tanks. They're big tanks, but they're not these humongous tanks. And those tanks, I've seen one of them, and they're ancient. They're rusted out at the bottom. They're all rusty. They're old, And so
I
I'm
think
just
isn't that part of the EPA ACO kind of taking a look at their entire water system and telling them that they did have, although they gave them extensions, that they do have to replace some of those tanks, those water tanks. That's what I thought.
Well, that's what they're saying, but they're using the word repair and replace. He goes, "We'll replace and repair them," and that's the only problem I had with that guy's, you know, teleprompter, you know, speech, because it was so mechanical the way he talked.
Yeah.
It was just like blah blah blah, a mile a minute. You know what I mean? I'm like, who could comprehend any of that? AI could comprehend it, not a human being. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially not me. Maybe I'm taking it personally, but the bottom line is that I don't think I was, taking it personal. The guy was just he is a machine, and he's just doing his job and getting the job done. That's how I kind of interpreted it. But my whole thing is what's this word repair?
Yeah, and
That word repair bothers me. You know what I
I
mean?
don't
There are
know
too
if they
many.
specified which
Well,
ones they're going to repair, replace. I
right?
don't
No,
know.
they didn't. They didn't, and that's what kind of makes me wonder what they're talking about, the details.
Yeah, maybe
It
you could come up,
also,
make it,
yeah.
formulate a question for that, and I can pass it on to the EPA.
Yeah, I want
The
to go
other
into the
term they use
recording.
is clean, and I have a problem with the word clean when they use that as well. Because I
Right,
said, no, you're supposed to
right,
shut down. You're supposed to
right,
shut down. Not
right.
clean the pipes and reuse the place.
Yeah, clean just means cleaned out. It could be an adjective meaning cleaned, like I cleaned it, but doesn't mean that you have cleaned the toxins and or
Right.
any of the, JP5 or TPH or whatever. You haven't, it doesn't, that it's a misnomer. It doesn't refer to that.
Right.
There's no
Yeah.
specifics about these words. They
Right.
just use these words like, oh, we cleaned it. It's all, and we're going to repair and replace it. It
Yeah.
sounds
So
like
if you can look at the report and, in a specific page, so what do you mean by in the report on page so-and-so, clean or repair, which tanks, when, that kind of stuff. If you could formulate a few
Yeah,
questions and I'll
there-
send them to the EPA.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
The EPA, the EPA has a recording. I think that was all recorded, if I remember correctly. So there,
Well, oh, no, I know. I watched it live, but I'm
okay.
asking the
Okay.
question that you
Yeah,
had.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you could
Yeah,
put that
yeah.
in writing and get
Yeah,
that
yeah.
to me, and
Yeah.
I'll get it to the EPA.
Sure.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now we're on to the Red Hill Vi bills, and I want to get back Susan Picola Davis. I think she left, but she put something on here about HCR 144. Okay. Okay. House Resolution, 141? I thought that was one. Am I wrong? I thought it was 144. Okay. Susan Picola Davis in the chat said, House Resolution 141 regarding the Navy to participate in person at the CRI. As of April 1st, report adopted, referred to the Committee on PBS, Public Safety and / WAL, with
Water
none
and land.
voting aye, with none voting aye with reservations, none voting no, and none excused. But PBS Wall never called for a hearing. So where does that leave us?
It's functionally dead.
Oh, no. Ugh.
Yeah.
What number?
It is 141, not 144. I have that wrong. Sorry.
No, you might not have it wrong because I just searched in Legiscan. 141 is about Maui. So what number were you thinking? 144?
144.
Let me check that.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that was a typo. Typos on
Oh,
Susan's part.
okay. Okay.
So it should be HCR 149. Oh, 149. Yeah, I didn't get its second hearing.
Oh, man. That's too bad. So is it, it's kind of going to be considered dead? Darn.
Well, insofar as they could go for a waiver, if that's what public safety and water and land wants to do.
Hmm.
They could try to waive that deadline, but otherwise,
It's already passed. The deadline's passed.
it should have been, it should have been heard
Oh.
like on April 2nd.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Okay, so the next one we had was funding for Red Hill Vi Policy Coordinator, HB 1926.
Okay, that one was referred to WHAM.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
today, April 16 is the second crossover bills, which means that all bills have to complete its third reading to go back to the originating chamber. This one was referred to WHAM, did not have its third reading, so it's dead.
Ah,
You want me to keep going down the list?
sure. Yeah.
Okay, so SB 2002, this was a DLNR seaworm bill that we've all been pushing for, especially Marty, but it got and replaced into a working group. Same thing, it was referred to Judiciary and Fin, and it didn't meet today's deadline, so it's
Yeah.
dead. Okay, SB 2095, PFAS working group. This one, I feel like this is my bill. Yeah, so the House draft 1 went over to the Senate side. This is a Senate bill. And the Senate said, no, we don't like that. So there's disagreement. That means it's going into conference. But
Mm,
that means it's still alive. But
okay.
who knows what happens in conference?
Yeah.
Okay, SB 2096. This is a PFAS bill, and that's testing wastewater management and making sure that sludge and reclaimed water is free of PFAS before it's used for agricultural purposes. Again, referred to Water and Land as well as Judiciary, and they didn't hear it.
Ah,
Okay, so it's dead. SB 2093. Fuel Tank Advisory Committee having regular meetings. This is the FTAC having quarterly meetings. Referred to WHAM, no hearing, it's dead. SB 2094. This one is also one that we tried to push. This is having a public notice of the Department of Health changing any of the EALs. And this one was referred to WHAM, no hearing, it's dead. SB 2046. Department of Health, underground storage tank systems, confirmed release and restoration. This one is Keoho Kalole's bill. This one, we kind of like this one, but it was deferred. So heard and deferred. And I guess that's it. Then we're back to the resolutions, SCR 149 and SR 141. Again, as of April 2nd, it's functionally dead. It got heard in its first committee, but not in its second. And so that's it, folks.
but there is HCR 186. Do you want to cover that, Tara?
That's coming up.
I love that one. Yes, that one has its second hearing on April 20th at 3 p.m. And I can put a link in the chat, but if anybody wants to provide testimony, written or in attendance, during the first hearing, Jamie and I were both there online. And they had a bunch of questions about how, because this resolution specifically is addressing the secretarial designation so that people who were impacted by the water crisis but are not eligible to go to military treatment facility or the MTFs, the hospitals with military doctors, it allows for civilians to go see those doctors. Initially, when the secretarial designation began, it was only allowing civilians to come to the Red Hill Clinic. And then after so much time had passed, they expanded it, and now civilians with certain who meet that criteria, you were in this window, blah, blah, blah. You can go to any MTF. So if you're now in Idaho, you can go to the military facility there, and those doctors aren't the ones here who received all the exact guidance about don't do Red Hill. But it's a complicated process to initiate and to get your pass to get on base and all of that stuff, but it is free healthcare for any health symptoms that are out. So this bill is asking that instead of 1-year renewals, that it moves to 2-year renewals. The bill also asks for greater collaboration between sectors so that the military medical world would cooperate with the civilian medical world and maybe come up with a voucher system or some way for people to see the doctors that they're comfortable with and already have trust and relationship with. Testimony plugs, and I have to be clear, I'm speaking as a resident and not as my job. That's why my background is off. But when you look at the NASEM report and the way that it urges collaboration between sectors, it urges continued medical monitoring, it urges encouraging people to have relationships with their primary care doctor, it urges ongoing research to better understand these exposures and health outcomes that may not surface for 40 years. But there's so much material to cite when you're providing testimony if you wanted to for this particular bill and the way that we need appropriate healthcare with professionals that we trust in a way that can be tracked and monitored for a long time. So April 20th, 3 p.m.
Yes. And I wrote testimony today for that after reading a lot of everybody, a lot of people here that put that testimony, and so many people did cite the NASM report, right?
Yeah.
And that is powerful. It's not like just our opinion, it's in the
Right.
report. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, do you
And
think it'll, I have
that's
good hope.
that's the big federal agency report that everybody's going to look to, like the Bible, you know, for
Yeah.
Red Hill guidance. And that guidance says relationship with your primary care doctor, ongoing monitoring, treatment, you know, like it's everything in there is so powerful when you look at how it backs up everything that's asked for.
Yeah, and I felt like it was really filling in all the gaps that became so painfully obvious as you all went through this, right? I mean, it seems really all encompassing. And yeah, I almost wish it would be for, not just 2 years, like 10 years or whatever, but 2 years is a start, right? I mean,
2
better
years
than
is
1 year.
better than one, yeah, and it's all
Yeah.
about that continuity of care.
Yes.
But
Yes.
Rep Templo, Rep Shimizu, there's so many different representatives who are behind this. But even if you provide your testimony, but contact those reps and urge them, to get on board with this particular thing. And I know that this plays broader than just here locally here in Hawaii, but it's also very important to remember that anybody affected by Red Hill, as a part of the military community, if you've moved on and your senators and your representatives are not Hawaii senators and representatives, still write to them, contact them, and urge them, because that makes it obvious in Washington, D.C., that this is a national problem and not a Hawaii problem. And that changes it from 2 people talking about it in the Senate to 100 people talking about it in the Senate, if we are all talking to our representatives.
That's great. Thank you, Tara. I saw Robert and then Chris.
Hi, I'll be quick. Melody, I heard on a Coconut Wireless that they were trying to, on the finance committees, trying to do all that work ahead of time before they go to all the other committees. So that it doesn't hold up all these bills that are all just piling in and they don't have to scramble as fast. Somebody told me that they're looking at all the finance end of it, for the things that require finance appropriation ahead of time. Did you hear anything to that order?
Well, it actually makes sense for them to concentrate on appropriations. It wasn't that long ago when they passed the budget without finishing their line items.
Well, it was this girl that I met that works as an aide inside of the legislation office and legislative office, and she's the one that told me that, because she said that, I said, it's a joke. I mean, I was just straight up front. I just said, it's a joke. There's so many bills, they just pass on everything. It's like ridiculous. They don't even give it the time, because there's so many. And I said, I get it. I said, why don't they divide them? And I told her this. I said, why don't they divide them into different sessions over a greater period of time and keep them, keep the legislators on board for a longer period of time, or divide their time up. She said, it's funny you should mention that, because what we're doing is we're trying to expedite the process and trying to look at all the financial stuff ahead of time for the finance committees and getting that out of the way before we move on to any other. And we have it kind of like a summary on it. That's what she said. And before we take it to the actual committee, we kind of know exactly what we're looking at. So it expedites the processes a little easier. That's what she said. I just didn't know if she was just, spouting off, or if there was any credibility to it.
I think it makes sense that they do look at the budget ahead of time. But the need to expand the legislative session is probably even greater. It should be a year long, like city council.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, They just like quick. And then people have spent timeless, months creating these bills and getting everything together. And they're just blown off. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't think it's right. I might be wrong, but I don't think it's right.
I agree. I'm going to go to
Right.
Chris. Thanks, Robert.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Chris?
Hello. Sorry, I had to unmute. I want to echo contacting wherever you are, if you are not on island anymore, to any of your representatives. When I have done or done the DC route and was able to see different various ones willing to talk to us, I will say not everybody cares about your story. Not everybody is empathetic, but some, I'll put it as best I can, some really more responded to that you are a financial burden on that state medically now, and you are part of their system when you need your medical help. And that perked up a couple of people to really then look into Red Hill that were, say, Illinois or Iowa or some other ones we'd spoke to. I'm trying to think, Texas. That weren't really listening otherwise, then they realized, oh my gosh, you're right. You were affecting our state in other ways, and it's all Red Hill related. And yeah, I just wanted to point out that there's a couple different ways to get through to some legislature, and some of it is just really putting that this is a financial impact to your state as well. So it's kind of important that you do coordinated bills and really push to help. I don't know, Navy pay for it. I mean,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing.
That's really good. That's
Oh,
a
and I
good,
really do hope its civilian medical locations will be opened up as paid for by the SecDes instead of just military locations. I know it's complicated, but bills can be sent in, I would think, and there might be a process. I just hope that's somewhere in the future figuring out, because not everywhere you live has military medical locations that are close.
yeah. Great. Okay. I think we're down to, okay.
There was something in the chat about updating the Walk for Why now from Malia.
Yeah, it's June 20th. Yeah. We are updated from June 20th. And did I miss that? It was in the chat. I'm sorry. Yeah. And so I think I said earlier, but I'll say it again. Malia is applying for the bandstand, so that would be awesome. We wouldn't even have to like put up a stage. We could have the bandstand there, and
Hi
yeah,
guys, I'm still here.
Oh, good. Go ahead. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I just went yesterday to the Parks Department. I turned in bandstand facility application, and because we are using just pop-up tents, they don't think we even need insurance, which is wonderful. They asked if I'm selling anything. I said no, and they asked if we're having vendors. I said no. It's and I can't remember what I said on the original, so I just said it to Malama Ikavai water awareness gathering. And I don't know how many people are coming, but I said, Ernie Lau would like to come and speak. And so she's like, oh, just fill this out. And I think it's like $20 an hour. And if it is, Pu'uhonua o Wailupe can cover, or if the grant covers, whatever, but it's not expensive at all. And then we won't have the cost for the stage, where we were going to build a stage. And I think it was like $150. And I think it's going to be cheaper than that. If we have 6 hours, it's $120. So yeah, it's not solidified, but it sure sounds kind of like 70% that we're going to get it. So that's going to be great. And we'll start pushing out June 20th and getting on interviews and things like that. So letting all these Kona lows pass us and getting our Aina back from being saturated, I think will help a lot. And it's Father's Day weekend. So it's going to be a good date, and Ernie's available. So yeah, it's on. No permits for that, but that's okay. We're still going.
Yeah. Oh, that is so exciting.
Yeah.
Yay.
So it'll be fine. It'll be fun. And every time we update, I'll make sure I put it in the signal walk. And then as we near and get closer, we can have some Zoom meets as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Michelle was going to ask a group that does beautiful, I don't know
Oh,
how
the
you describe it.
Polyahu. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Polyahu and the Pele, and it's the I know exactly what she sent because they're beautiful. It's four of our god, well, I guess in English is goddesses that they portray in their beautiful attire. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be so great on the bandstand. Yeah. I know Michelle you put a link in the other meeting so we could see. I don't know if you're in a place where you can do that, Michelle, but yeah.
Very pretty. That'll be nice. And the
Yeah.
speakers will be great and entertainment will be really nice. So yeah, I think
We're
it's going to
good.
be good.
It's coming
Oh,
together better than ever.
I think so. So mahalo very much and appreciate you all fighting this battle for clean water for everyone. And yeah, let's do this.
It'll be good. Thank you, Malia, for all you've been
Hey,
doing. I'm
thank you
excited too.
too. Mahalo.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah, Robert, is your hands up? Is it from before or new? Might be from before, huh? Okay. All right. So I think we are at Jamie. Is Jamie still? Yes. Um, Red Hill SEC. Oh, Secretary designation extended another year. This is separate from the bill, right? Yeah, go ahead. Do you want to just cover that briefly?
Yes, the secretarial designation letter has been extended for another year, which is phenomenal. Um, I will be honest, it does has its flaws. I've used it. My care got paused and it's hard to pick it back up and use it again due to the flaws, but also the distance being away. However, for those on the island or that lives closer to a naval facility, it's much easier to use. You do have to get permission or base access. There are things that you have to jump through, which is why this bill is also important coming forward, and Tara can help address that. But it does, the appointments that I was able to maintain, they were able to link things to Red Hill. They were able to find things. I was able to get, answers to issues I had going on in testing while I was able to actually effectively use it. So I do implore for people to use it, to activate it. It is, there's no real clear guidance on how to activate it at this point. It's, I'm going to research some more because not many were using it before. But even when I activated it, it was difficult because not a lot of bases hear of secretarial designation letters or, where I went, I was the first one that they had to activate a secretarial designation letter for. And they had not heard of Red Hill, and then you don't have a DOD number. So do not let that stuff discourage you. If anybody needs help or guidance with activating it and they choose to, please feel free to reach out to me and I will help walk through or try to help get in contact of who to get a hold of. And then, help walk you through it and stick with it because it is worth it. It is medical care that those that have been affected and left behind deserve to have completely. And the more people that use it, the more it will show a need for it, and the longer we will be able to keep this designation letter. Because as we all know, it's not just today, it's not just tomorrow, it's longer down the road. And I've had people reach out that even recently that say, you know, oh, I was on the island 4 years ago while it happened. I didn't have that bad of symptoms, or I wasn't paying attention, you know, everything that everybody else says. And now, you know, they still have these lingering issues and they don't know which direction to turn. So please, if you have the opportunity to use it, activate it. Reach out to those that are using it, reach out to the DHA. We're all registered through the doors, and so we'll help you get it going and get the care that you deserve.
Great. Thank you so much. Being such a good advocate for that. Appreciate it.
No, thank you.
And Tara was going to still give us an update on the registry.
Put my official background back up.
Yeah, there you
go. All the hats we wear, right?
Yeah, right.
So actually the registry is really exciting. The Red Hill Registry, our website is redhillregistry.org. Social media is just at Red Hill Registry. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, all of the mainstream ones. But the things that I want to talk about is that our enrollment is up. We've just about hit 2,000. And we haven't been open for a year yet, so we're doing really good. 100 in the past 1 week. So that's very exciting. We've been ramping up our outreach with emailing. So if you have if you know that you might be on the doers list, the doers Red Hill Registry, we are emailing through those emails and, just watch for them. But you don't need that to enroll. You can just go to redhillregistry.org. But something else that's really exciting that I want to make sure that I talk about is the Community Advisory Work Group. This is a group that I meet with every 6 weeks, and we have been meeting since the registry started, since before it was launched, to be honest. And this group of people is a core group of individuals who represent different perspectives and views from the community. And what we do is we get I'll say stuff from the different partners within the registry. We have reviewed and given feedback on the enrollment form, the types of symptoms and conditions that are listed or should be listed, and really have influenced the development of the registry in some very significant ways, all the way from the enrollment to our logo and colors. But the CAW, as I affectionately call it, because it's the Community Advisory Work Group, what we've decided to do is open it up so that we get more input from the community for the registry. We just figured this was an appropriate time to do so. And so if you go to and I'll put this in the chat, but redhillregistry.org and then /CAW. If you want to be a part of the Community Advisory Work Group meeting every 6 weeks, we are on Zoom for about 2 hours, and we just look through anything that the registry, if it's the Water Resource Research Center or the Thompson School of Health or the doctors at JABSOM, whatever element that is needing some input, we give feedback on the look, the practicality, if it's sensitive enough to the types of trauma people have experienced, everything. So if you're interested, please reach out. You can also always just reach out to me directly, or, my email is thsutton@hawaii.edu, and I'll put that in the chat. And then if you want to just talk to anybody at the registry, our information line, I'll put that in the chat too, but that's just info@redhillregistry.org.
Great. So Tara, when does the new group start meeting? Are you going to open it up for several months, and then when you hit critical mass, or?
No, we're just going to keep meeting every 6 weeks. If I get 100 people one day, oh my Lanta, I'll do a jig. But if I only have 4, I'm still doing a jig because like that's what
Yeah, we'll hold you to that.
yeah, you'll laugh at me too, and I'll laugh with you.
Oh.
But no, the next meeting, let me verify with my calendar because that's a really good question. It is coming up. I think it's in like 2 weeks. We meet on Mondays from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Hawaii time. We do that. I know that it's during the workday here, but I try to accommodate so that people on the East Coast can also participate because you don't have to be here in order to participate in the CAW. If you experienced the water crisis, you can be a part of the CAW and shaping the development and of the registry, not just the development, but also just like, do we need to change course?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. So as soon as so they go on that and they do the application. As soon as they're accepted, they'll start getting these emails. Is that how that works?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And the next one is April 27. I just confirmed on my calendar.
Great.
So just a couple weeks out for the next one, but it's going to be every 6 weeks. You just apply when you're ready, when you're interested. Don't overburden yourself. A lot of people who are already on this call, you see them everywhere, you know. But when the time is right, apply. And I'm the one who gets the application, so.
Great. Oh, and one other thing, can you tell somebody watching this recording what DOERS, DOORS stands for?
Yes.
Yeah. We all forget the acronyms. But not everybody knows, like, what was that?
Let me grab it. Hold on. I'm furiously typing if you can hear my keyboard.
Oh, that's okay. And also the implication is that is the original registry and also what it means. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally tell you that. So it's the Department of Defense. Because what they've got, the doers, I'll see if I can figure out what that acronym is. It's on the page that I just have pulled up. But this is okay, so I guess the best way to say it is within the Department of Defense, they know that the people who are serving in the military are going to be in different locations that have a variety of exposures. So they're as they get out and they move healthcare from active duty to the veterans, there's this massive registry. It's kind of like the big mothership of registries within the Department of Defense. And that is, again, an acronym, ILER. And that is kind of where everything is stored in all of these like smaller registries, like there's a burn pit registry or an Agent Orange. So different things for different exposures. These are not opt-in. These are an automatic extraction of your information as far as what the DoD has access to with your medical records and your assignment locations, your dates. And that is automatically placed within that registry. So they have a Red Hill registry. It's not something that you report your own personal symptoms or your economic impact, or this happened to my cat. If the doctor coded it this way instead of that way, we have no control or idea what it looks like and what we will learn from that registry, but it does at least follow it for the service member for a longer time, but even the dependents are in that registry. Now, so that kind of explains Doers and how it lives within ILER. The Red Hill registry operates completely separate from that. It is 100% opt-in. So we only have as much data as people offer to us. And in order, scientifically speaking, if you're going to do an experiment of any sort and be able to generalize your results, you need to have a large sample size so that it can be representative of the greater community. So if we're looking at 93,000 people potentially exposed based on the Navy's, that's all we have to go off of. We've currently, this is a great number for us, but we're at, 2,000. So that's not going to tell us this full picture. And if only people with health symptoms right now, like I feel like I have some health symptoms, right? And so, of course, I registered and enrolled in the registry. But what if I didn't have any? I would feel like, oh, I'll let the other people do it. But here's the problem with that thinking is science needs the full spectrum of an outcome. And so the registry really needs people who look like there's absolutely nothing wrong, no headaches, no gastrointestinal issues, no skin problems. And that way we get this whole range because all of our bodies metabolize these contaminants differently. And
Got it.
so in order to truly understand how it hit this 67-year-old kupuna versus a 2-year-old versus a mother that's breastfeeding, we need as many people to join the opt-in registry as possible. And that's the Red Hill Registry.
Okay. You probably learn a lot from people who don't have symptoms because then, right? I mean, it's like that's the other part of it. And you're right. People probably don't think of it that way, but yeah, they can learn a lot from that. For people on the Navy waterline that didn't experience any symptoms, but you're right, it's hard to get that word out and hard to get people to register. It's like, what's the problem? There's nothing wrong. It's like, but that's part of the big
science.
Research universe. That's science. Thank you.
Yes, and April is Community Science Month, and so it's Citizen Science Month. So this is the month for citizens to participate in science, and here's your chance.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Wow. Oh, go ahead, Chris. Sorry. That's great. Thank you. Thank you for explaining that. Now I understand it because I didn't have the whole picture.
Two things. One, the doers, all non-military affiliated people like my family have no registry other than the Red Hill Registry.
Right.
That is our only one. So maybe you are getting a bulk of citizen unaffiliated possibly in your first dump. I don't know of who felt compelled to get on that. But I did try to get added to the DOEHRS, the registry when they first set a registry was coming out. And when they found out I wasn't military and I didn't have an MIL anything, they said they can't. So there's nowhere to put any other families that have no affiliation or anything in that system. So just FYI, they don't want any non-military affiliated. And that's the issue with Red Hill is it's so convolutedly mixed and
right. And again, yeah, but
yeah, two, I just gonna put it out there. I did that and I did it for my youngest child on filling it out, I believe, or I completed mine. I don't know. It was cumbersome. I felt like it was forever long and repetitive, but I really pushed my older kiddos to do it and they've signed up, but then it went to one email for both of them when they did their own emails. So they felt they didn't want to click on it. When one clicked on it, it said welcome and it was the wrong person's name to that email. So I'll get a hold of you, Tara, and say like, they don't even want to do it now because then they felt like they weren't going to get it even LinkedIn right to the right person.
No, let's talk
I don't
offline.
know
We
what
can
the
get that
issue
sorted
was there. But
we can get that sorted out for sure. Thank you for
I don't know what the deadline passed, and then I wasn't sure if they could do it. I remember there was a deadline, I thought, so maybe I misunderstood.
It's open.
Okay, for the survey?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, are you talking about like a community survey or the enrollment?
They filled out the enrollment thing. That's why they got an email to do the survey. But then when they clicked on it, it said welcome and it was the wrong name because it was
we
my
can
other
get that
kid's
sorted out.
name.
Yeah,
and
we
then
can
so they
definitely
didn't complete it.
Okay, we can get that taken care of.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, that is so a personal thing, but I just want to let you know there was something wonky going on there.
Cool.
And so, yeah, only half my family filled out the thing, but 4 of us signed up. Okay, just wanted to put that out there. Thank you, Tara.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited for what the Red Hair Registry is doing. Oh my gosh, I'm just, yeah. Thank you so much. And yeah, got to get more people signed up for that, as you know. So, all right, I think, is there anything else that we haven't discussed that we want to discuss? It is 7:01. Are we all good? We covered a lot. We have some strategy to work up with our asks and our neighborhood boards. And Jamie's going to do kind of a draft of requesting a public advisory from the DOH and EPA, which I think is a fabulous idea because we can quote Mr. Matt Cohen, who said the plume moves, and obviously that could displace things. So yeah, I think that would be really good. So all right, yeah, we got some direction, right? This is great. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and we'll get this recording posted, and we are all good. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone, so
Melody.
much.
Thank you, Susan, very much.
Thanks, everyone. Good
Hello,
night.
Susan.